hope you're ready. This is going to be exciting.
Here we go, career starts up we go. Green flag is out and we're underway.
Just a few laps into this. Oh, the 37's getting loose. Oh, and he saves it. Oh, they're going 3 wide.
We've got a 5-way fight for the win of this race coming to 4 laps to go. He's gonna win it here in spectacular fashion.
It's finally Friday, and it's time to kick off the 2026 Spring Series for the SAVE22 Truck Series driver. And of course, we are sticking with the theme of Daytona International Speedway. I'm your host, Logan Threlkeld, and back in the booth with us this season will be Daniel Cunningham as our co-host, and the legend himself, Bradley Cooper, in the production truck, running the show with cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Daniel, it's been a very, very long off season. It feels like, at least. I know it's only been realistically a couple weeks, but how fired up are you to get things kicked off here for our Premier Truck Series tonight?
It is definitely going to be a good one here tonight. Got a pretty full field as we kick off the season here at Daytona. You can see the rest of the schedule coming up there on your screen. Got a lot of great races, but a lot of storylines to follow. Mark Whitley tying the single season Oval Series win record with Goat Locker last season, winning a championship. Going to try to defend it, but man, he's got a lot of competition coming in this season to try to take that crown from him.
That he does, and a lot of tracks on that schedule that he has had some previous success at in multiple series. So let's see if he can pull it all together for the Truck Series, or if we're going to have somebody else be in the contention up here at the front of the field once we get to our championship races. Coming up on your screen now, the Daytona track map opened up February 22nd of 1959. Of course, it is a staple in all of the racing community. Of course, the 24-hour Daytona races going on this weekend on iRacing. 2.5 miles in length, 31 degrees of banking in the corners, 18 degrees of banking across the tri-oval in the front stretch. And this is just, there's no better place to really open up a season, in my opinion. I know it's a love-hate relationship with super speedways, but man, you can't ask for better action at times. We're going to see it all from start to finish here tonight. And it looks like our drivers are ready, getting gridded up as we speak now. So let's take a look at who has picked up our Jam Printing and Promotions Pull Award for the first time this season. And it is going to be the 77 of Mark Whitley himself, kicking things off on the right foot. Since forming in 2013, Jam has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits, with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They've been with Goat Locker Racing since the very beginning. Local and veteran certified. When they do well, they do good in the community. Congratulations, Mark Whitley, on picking up that first Jam Printing and Promotions Pole Award of the new year. And Happy New Year to everybody watching at home. Starting to Whitley's outside will be the 58 of Jonathan Cofield on the front row. In row number 2, it's the 17 last season's producer making his first premier start tonight, Lucas Lyons in P3, with Michael Johns in the 59 in P4. Behind them, it's the 18 of Cody Anderson lined up next to the 14 of Chance Taylor in P6. The 3 of Michael Kostick will roll off in P7 next to the 40 of Ken Hubert in 8. Last but not least, in the top 10, it's Levi McCarty in the 51 machine next to Jason Kristen in the 20 in P10.
Starting at 11th, V-Speed's own Eddie Smith in the 87 with Mauricio Marquez Ramos in 12th position. Rolling off in P13 is going to be James Kaufman with Matt Knights to his outside in 14th. Starting at 15th is going to be Noah Hogard. James Goshen in the 85 to his outside in 16th. Taking up our next 2 spots is going to be Thaddeus Friel Jr. in 17th. Brandon Wallace in the 18th position. Rolling off 19th is going to be Wesley Burke with George Jewell rounding out the top 20.
9 more trucks to go in 21st. It is none other than the 27 of Jacob Ellingson with last season's season opener winner, Charles Abert in the 7 in P22. The 33 of Tyler Justice starts out in 23rd with Samuel Joseph in the 65 to his outside. The 4 of Mike Browning takes up 25th next to the 62 of Douglas Macedo in 26th. The 12 of Claire Sisk Jr. starts out in 27th. Next to the 47, another newcomer, Jason Farrow in 28th. And last but not least, it is the dark horse, the quiet one, the 37 of Michael Seymour. As the pace truck pulls off, we're ready to go racing at Daytona for the first time in the SAVE22 Truck Series. Green flag waves.
Trucks side by side here as they exit turn number 2, head down the back straightaway. Look more like the dirt track on that pace lap out there. All the dust and debris flying up in the air after that qualifying session. But see there, Mark Whitley, race leader. He's just about got the field cleared, but Jonathan Cofield up there trying to get up there and put a little side draft on him, see if he could take that lead away.
But Lucas Lyons is going to do his best to get the nose out ahead of Whitley, and he's going to get a big push coming from the outside line around for the first time tonight. Lucas Lyons takes the first lap lead of the 2026 Truck Series. Getting another big shove from the 58 of Cofield. They have room to drop down, but both drivers will elect to stay up on the top side of the track. Teammates here tonight working together, controlling that top line. Let's see how long they can hold it together, as they've got quite a bit of room now down to the bottom.
Yeah, from the production truck last season to the lead truck here this season at Daytona, Lucas Lyons out in front of the field, like you said, with help from teammate Jonathan Cofield behind. Michael Johns there right behind them on that upper groove. And this is something that I've seen out of Lucas quite a bit at Daytona. Well, actually, 2 things I've seen out of Lucas quite a bit at Daytona. He likes to run that Dale Jr. line up around the top of the track, but he also likes to try to control both lanes. As you can see, the bottom groove was getting a little bit of a run there. He dropped down in front of Mark Whitley to block that off and maintain control of the lead.
And this is a great case scenario for those teammates controlling both lines for the time being. Of course, 100% fuel on the night. That should give us roughly 40 laps here. We've got a 60-lap event scheduled, so we will have at least 1 pit stop. We'll see how long they can keep things together and take it as far as we can. Cofield gets a big push coming from the 59 of Michael Johns. Now Cofield drops down to the bottom, gives control of the top line to the 59 machine. He's going to work with his teammate now. Roles reversed as Cofield will come around to lead lap number 3 on the night. Mark Whitley just kind of stuck in traffic right now. He's not had an opportunity to jump up to the top line, but this could be a good case scenario for the 77 team in the fuel saving category. Like we just said, it's about 40 laps, but if you can get one or two more out of the truck and extend that, a little less fuel in the tank once you do make that pit stop can mean tenths of a second. Tenths of a second at Daytona can mean a race win. Whitley looks to the outside. Anderson looks to follow. They're all four separating themselves from the rest of the field right now. Single file back out through turns 3.
Yeah, and you mentioned it's not too early to start talking about fuel saving here. If you do get to the point of making a green flag pit stop, a lot of times these drivers won't take 4 tires. They'll do fuel only, or they maybe do a 2-tire stop. So if you can take a little bit less fuel, you may be running the back right now, but you can use that to your advantage and gain track position for a final run. Something that you see quite a bit in real life NASCAR as well, with utilizing that fuel saving. Another thing that you'll see a lot here this evening are teammates trying to work together. Already mentioned it with Cofield and Lyons working together, getting up to the front row. He's got the 18 of Cody Anderson behind them, but right behind Anderson is another one of those Bandits Motorsports drivers. That's the 3 of Michael Kostick. There's the 4th truck in line on the bottom. So that team finding their way up to the front here early and trying to work together to gain control of this race.
A little bit of movement through the field. So far, Levi McCarty has worked his way up 4 spots to the top 5 position now. 51 machine trying to make some headway, wiggling back and forth as we come through the tri-oval, trying to pick out which line might have the best momentum at the time, but still separated from those top 4 by quite a bit. Now with Mark Whitley behind. Whitley, a phenomenal pusher at these super speedways. If there's anybody I want in my rearview mirror, it's probably that 77.
And this was something we did touch on a little bit last season with our super speedway races. And part of the reason why I feel like Whitley is such a good pusher at these tracks is just driving that Toyota. You've got such a flat front bumper on it. Just lets you line up a little bit easier, get a little bit better push as you go through the turns. It's something that I've seen out of Whitley, that it seems like he can push in the middle of the turn where other drivers can't really do that without getting the truck in front of them upset just a little bit.
Here's one thing to keep in mind. If we get around 2 green flag stops, pit road speed only 60 miles an hour, so we're going to be slowing these trucks up from approximately 180 to 185 miles an hour, depending on where you're at on the track, down to 60. We have a potential for some lockup of the rear tires that could send some drivers into that pit wall or through the grass if they don't play their cards carefully. We'll find out here in about 30 more laps or so before that ever becomes a factor. And of course, we have to get there before that yellow flag comes out. That's another storyline to touch base on there, Daniel. The big one. When does it happen? Will it happen? We have had opening season races at the super speedways go green flag to checkered before. It's a premier series. It's something you would come to expect here, and there's a high chance of that exact situation happening tonight.
It does seem to happen quite a bit in the Premier Series, especially as you mentioned, we saw it with the trucks last season going green flag to flag quite a few times. Even if we do get to the end of the race without a caution, that doesn't rule out the possibility of a big one. Once you take that white flag, the race is official. You're racing back to the checkers. I know we've both seen it quite a few times, both from the commentary booth and on track. You get to that last lap, and calamity has a bit of a tendency to break out at these races.
So coming into turn 3, Jonathan Cofield, Lucas Lyons both moved up to the top line. They abandoned the 18 of Cody Anderson, but it looked like the bottom line was starting to pick up some momentum as they worked their way out of turn 4. It stalled out before we got to the tri-oval. Now Anderson side by side here for the 4th position. Michael Kostick is clear. He could come down and seat himself right in front of the 18 machine. Here comes that momentum off the bottom. We're going to get a shove from Kenny Huber side by side with Kostick now, and continues all over the back bumper to the door of Lucas Lyons. They bring it down about a half lane, but not in time to jump back in front. Cody Anderson gets the nose out ahead. Is the 18 going to get his first lap lead of the night, or will that speed from the top line, the drive off of turn 4, come into favor for them? And it does. Cofield with another lap lead. Cody Anderson P2, Lucas Lyons P3.
Cofield going to drop down to the bottom now and try to block off that momentum from Cody Anderson. A little bit of a close move there, but like Anderson, maybe cut him a bit of a break, let him slide down in front as we ride on board here with the 18 of Cody Anderson. And that's going to put it now where we've got teammates leading each line yet again, with Lucas Lyons up on that top lane. He's got a teammate, Michael Kostick, behind, but that top group starting to lose just a little bit of ground now. Something that we'll see throughout the evening, where there's just ebbs and flows of where the momentum is. With Lucas Lyons leading that outside lane, we know he'll be aggressive with the side drafting to try to get up there and get that top lane back up to the front.
There's a lot of spacing on both lanes of this race right now. The top line only had 10 drivers. We just saw one drop down to the bottom, so we've got 9 trucks on the top line. The rest of the field down there on the bottom. The 87 of Eddie Smith working his way up through the field, now gaining 7 positions. That beautiful Tide truck. That is a great paint scheme coming out of the booth onto the track, just like the 17 of Lyons. He looks to the outside now. 3 wide here early in the race. Cody Anderson, the meat and the sandwich. And this is one thing I know that the Wednesday night crew talked about. The sucker hole that is the middle lane. Will anybody go with the 18 machine to keep him competitive? And it looks like he's going to get a couple drivers behind. Still 3 wide now, 3 rows deep across the start-finish line. This is dangerous early on.
It is dangerous early on, but hey, sometimes you got to go for it. You got to take a look and try the 3 wide. The first time you try it, you don't want it to be on the last handful of laps of the race. But they're able to navigate it. Now Mark Whitley in the middle by himself with minimal drafting help. Is a big slide there out of the 51 of McCarty. What a save out of Levi there. He is able to hang on to it. I thought that one had big one written all over it at the front of the field, but man, we got to take a look at that one on the V-Speed instant replay here. McCarty comes up in front of Lucas Lyons. It looked like they were just trying to time the run and just mistimed it just a little bit with that bump draft. But man, that is as close as you can get to wrecking in the front of the pack and not actually wrecking.
And then on the other side of the straightaway, entering turn 3, McCarty and Lucas Lyons
they're
both
spinning
making
into
contact.
back. The 62 of Doug Macedo is around. The 14 of Chance Taylor is caught up in it as well. Caution flag is out here on lap number 13.
Of Chance Taylor. Of course, we saw him a couple weeks ago taking home the victory in the 50-50 race, the preseason race. And bad luck falling his way to start this one out. Luckily, we do have one fast repair on the night. We'll take it back here on the V-Speed Instant Replay. Have a look at what has happened in the mid-pack here. Contact with the wall as the 62 of Macedo just enters a little bit too high. Comes back down, a little bit too much left turn, trying to get off that safer barrier. And collects quite a few cars from that one. Chance Taylor looking to be the worst of the situation.
Yeah, riding on board with Ellingson here. And yeah, the 62 of Macedo gets up into the wall and probably had a little bit extra wheel cranked into it, trying to get off the wall. Sometimes with the iRacing physics, it'll just kind of suck you in up there where you can't seem to get off of that wall. But he finally is able to get the truck free and just has so much wheel cranked in. You can see it here on the onboard from Chance Taylor as well. Just right into the door of the 27 of Ellingson, and that sets off our first wreck of the evening.
Well, it is the SAVE22 Truck Series, so we might as well say thanks to our primary sponsor here on this fine Friday afternoon. SAVE22 is a 501c3 organization that's dedicated to preventing suicide among veterans, active duty personnel, and first responders. Our unwavering mission extends to 4 critical pillars that shield, assist, volunteer, and educate. You can visit them at save22.vet, have a look at what all they do. Behind the scenes, And of course, a very large partner here at Goat Locker Racing. We are proud to have them on for another season of the Premier Truck Series here on Friday nights. It looks like we might have some takers down pit lane. Oh, everybody goes but Cody Anderson. We've got one more that's going to stay out behind him. But leading us down for our first pit stop of the night, it's the 17 of Lucas Lyons. Ken Huber stays out with Cody Anderson, I believe. Apologize, not Ken Huber. Ken Huber's in his box now.
No, that was Ken Huber. You were correct the first time, Logan. That was Ken that did stay out with Cody Anderson there. The rest of the field, though, electing to come down pit road. That is, that's going to be a lonely drive under pacing here for the 18 and the 40 as they are the only two to stay out on this caution.
Appears the 27 of Jacob Ellingson has picked up a black flag. I'm not sure how he's managed that. He did not come down pit road, so there's no speeding penalty to be handed out. Maybe some extra damage there, not up to full speed capabilities in the 27 machine. Electing to fall back to the end of the line. It is an EOL penalty. I'll see if we can grab some more information from that. Looks like race control has already gotten a hold of our producer. Black flag for the damage, indeed.
Yeah, and there was another black flag that was handed out to Chance Taylor as well for damage. It looked like they were handed out at the same time. So certainly stands to reason as Ellingson did get hit pretty hard in that wreck. But one thing with it tonight is that the drivers do have that fast repair in their back pocket if they are caught up in an incident, something that is not a standard procedure here in the Premier Series with Goat Locker. Normally no fast repair, but for the super speedways, they do give that extra reset for these drivers.
It's a nice little confidence booster, I guess, for lack of better terms, to know that you can drive just a little bit harder until you end up using that fast repair. Now, our drivers that have utilized it will be a little bit more reserved, as it looks like Jake Ellingson will be electing to use that fast repair, or already has used that fast repair, rather. Chance Taylor as well. Looks like Wesley Burke has also used the fast repair. Samuel Yosef has used it. So an interesting combination of drivers. I don't know why the 65 or the 04 would have used their fast repair other than a potential mistake. Communication with the crew chief on the top of the box.
It is always a possibility. iRacing default settings have that checked to where it's automatically that you're going to use it if you have damage coming down pit lane. So even just a small hit to the wall, if you don't uncheck it before you hit your box, it could result in an accidental use of that fast repair. So good possibility that that is what happened. I didn't see either of those drivers get caught up in anything major before that last caution.
So our first caution of the night leaves Cody Anderson in control with Ken Huber starting on the outside. Anderson electing for the bottom line. And behind them, it's James Kaufman and Mauricio Marquez Ramos in the 67 will be on the bottom line. 3 official lead changes so far, but we know the battle at the front has been back and forth. It's only scored at the start-finish line here at Daytona. But as the pace truck works down out of turn number 4, keep an eye on the 18, the inside line. You don't want to get too big of a jump over your competitors behind. Pace truck comes off. Barney the flag man with green flag in hand for the second time tonight. Into the restart zone we go, and away for lap number 17. And there's all of our damage cards at the back of the field. Bottom line already shuffling up here at the front. Driver dropping down from the top to the bottom. We've got a large lead here. 3 cars left, 4 cars clear. And it looks like Lyons is going to take a look to the outside. Levi McCarty's going to follow suit. So we've got some challengers now for Cody Anderson as the top line starts to get some of that momentum back.
And a few new names up at the front as well with that caution in the pit cycle. A lot of drivers coming down pit lane. Mentioned Mauricio Marquez Ramos, new name up there at the front. Matt Knights, James Kaufman. First time we've really talked about those drivers in the top 10 here this evening. So a chance for some new blood up at the front to go ahead and get that lead, put their name into the hat here early on up at the top of the scoring pylon. But Lucas Lyons back up to the front. He leads that last lap and is now in charge of that outside lane with Levi McCarty directly behind.
Lions going for as many bonus points as possible. Of course, you get 1 extra point for a lap led. You get another extra point for the most laps led in the race. I want to say that Lions is the leader right now for the laps led. Could be incorrect with that. It could also be his teammate, Jonathan Cofield.
Oh, aggressive move out of Lyons. That shoves Anderson down onto the apron, but he's able to save it.
Shuffle. A full-on shuffle in the middle of the field.
Caution is out back further in the pack, though. The 36 of George Jewell involved. I saw the 7 of Charles Abert was caught up in that as well. You can see the 47 also caught up in this wreck. Another quick caution here at Daytona, and I have a feeling that may have been an accordion effect from that first checkup that we saw. So we'll go back and take a look here on the V-Speed instant replay. This was the tail end of it with George Jewell getting spun, and yeah, he checked up for the incident ahead, and just the accordion effect, nowhere for Charles Abert to go, gets into the 36 of Jewell, and around they both go. Although doesn't look like a lot of significant damage for any of those drivers.
Just that first bump that pushed Jewell up the track, and then Abert, of course, had Jason Farrow hot on his tailgate. So yeah, the accordion effect at the front, the accordion effect at the rear of the field. But again, like you just mentioned, no real damage from that one. We'll probably have a couple drivers bring it down pit road and get that damage repaired naturally. No sense in using that fast repair for this one. But you can see up ahead the 18 of Anderson shoved down to the apron. The back end started to slide. Everybody checks up behind that. Everybody does a great job of avoiding the 18 as well. And just an outstanding recovery overall coming from Anderson. That's a very, very hard one to do.
That is certainly not an easy save to make. Let's take a look on board here with Cody Anderson. And yeah, it was a late move by Lucas Lyons going down trying to block that run. Puts Anderson on the apron, does a great job of saving it. But unfortunately, the farther back you go, and yeah, Lucas was clear when he first started the move, but the momentum was there. Probably not a move you want to make on lap number 20, but he, again, it's easy to say that up here in the booth, but your spotter calls clear, you drop down to make that move, block the momentum, and from there it was just the checkup accordion effect towards the back of the pack.
I appreciate the level of aggression, but I'm with you. That's a last 20 laps of the race type of move, not a first 20 laps of the race. Anderson out of his box now. Looks like Eddie Smith will follow. Samuel Yosef behind. Jason Kristen, Wesley Burke. But up at the front, the 17 of Lions stays out. He'll have control of this restart. We'll find out here next time by which lane he will elect to choose. Levi McCarty behind will be either top or bottom, side by side with the 17. Then it'll be James Kaufman and Michael Kostick. Matt Knights, Jonathan Cofield, Mark Whitley, and Noah Hogard up here in the 158 machine in the top 10 now. The 99 of Brandon Wallace, we saw him take home a race win earlier this week in the ARCA series. Looking to repeat here tonight, running 9th in the 99. And last but not least in the top 10, it's the 98 of Thaddeus Friel Jr. in the 10th position. Well, Daniel, are there any drivers that you want to have a quick word with while we're still under the yellow flag?
Let's see, who do we got? The first name I saw is Cody Anderson. That may not be a good one to pull up. No offense to Cody, but he may be a little aggravated with that late block right there. So just trying to take a quick look through Discord to see. And Do you have any suggestions here, Logan, who we may want to pull up?
Well, we could have a quick word with the 14 of Chance Taylor, maybe recap on that first caution where he was wrapped up in that one.
Sounds like a good idea. Let's see if we can get him up here in the broadcast booth. Hey, Chance, this is Daniel Logan up in the broadcast booth. You got us?
Yes. I do. How you doing, guys?
Doing good, buddy. I know this is kind of an impromptu in-race interview here. So we know you know how to get it done at Daytona. You won the 50-50 race in the offseason. You're a little behind the 8-ball right now without the fast repair and being behind on track position. What's your mindset here as we get ready to go back green on this next restart?
I'm just going to try to hold off till, I don't know, probably 10 to go and then try to make something happen. I can't risk it without the fast repair.
That would have been my key talking point there, is just the strategy change after having to use that fast repair to the back half of the race. And of course, being so early to use that fast repair. And you obviously have to have that mental fortitude to come through the last 40 laps of the race, knowing that you're in a very tough spot. Now, how's the confidence level with that?
Confidence is still good. We can make some pretty good runs here, even though with the new aero package, it is kind of hard to make up position. But as long as I can find some teammates, I believe I can make it back up to the front.
Well, we'll get you back down with your teammates as we're working through the back stretch here, coming to green this time by. Good luck, Chance. Maybe we'll get another word with you after the race.
Appreciate it, guys.
So not too upset, it seems like, by being involved in that first incident. He's got a good head on his shoulders, it sounds like, and ready to take on the remaining laps of the race. We'll see if that 14 can work his way back up towards the front of the field and maybe take home another win. Of course, not in a 50-50 race tonight, but the season opener could almost be viewed upon as the same type of race. It is very important to pick up the first race win of the season, of course, locking you into the playoffs. And some of these drivers, it might be their best chance. Pace truck comes off into the restart zone for the third time tonight. Green flag waves, and away goes Lucas Lyons. Levi McCarty on the bottom row, and it's already carnage behind him. Tyler Justice involved.
Around. Yeah, the 158 of Noah Hogard, that was the first truck that I saw that went around there on that start. Didn't quite catch if maybe spun the tires just a little bit or what may have happened, but we are back under a quick caution here at Daytona. As we pull up the V-Speed instant replay, you see the 99 of Brandon Wallace with some pretty significant damage there to the front of his truck. Have to bring that down to the attention of the pit crew. So yeah, oh yeah, that looks like a money shift, Logan. That looks like I tried to go to third and I hit first gear instead.
Is the worst feeling imaginable, especially up here in the front of the field. Got lucky that a lot more trucks weren't involved, but of course comes right down in front of the 99. A great checkup by the rest of the field to avoid it. Looks like, I believe that's the 62, the 67 potentially rather. Yeah, it looks like the 67 also ended up getting
Smith
spun
with a
around.
nice job missing that. See there from the onboard. It seems like it would be easy to avoid since you're not up to full speed, but those are sometimes the hardest ones to avoid. You're just not expecting it right off the restart like that. And even from the onboard of Eddie Smith there, you could see the black engine smoke coming out of the 158 of Noah Hogard. So I think that that also kind of confirms the money shift there. So it is definitely not a good feeling. I have done that before, and that's why I stick with the sequential shifter now.
Yeah, it could be a live by it or die by it type of situation. But we're going to take it to a quick commercial break. Have a word from a few of our sponsors. We'll be right back with coverage till the checkered flag of the SAVE22.vet Truck Series. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back.
superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you, day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your glove station.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
And we are back here at the World Center of Racing, Daytona, Florida. It's still the first race of the season. Let's see if our producer, do we have a graphic of all the races coming up here for the season, Bradley, that we could talk about with our viewers? There we go. So we didn't get to really dive into it to start the race, but of course, Auto Club next week, Phoenix, Watkins Glen for our road course on the season. Love to see these trucks at Watkins Glen. There'll be Kentucky there for the second race in February, following up with a break. And then we take it down to the hot tracks of Texas, back up to St. Louis for Gateway, the first race there in March, followed by Charlotte, New Hampshire, and Old Atlanta. And of course, some very, very famous tracks starting off in our championship chase. Bristol, Las Vegas, Iowa, Kansas, and finishing things off at one of my favorites, Homestead, Miami. We're going to start the season in Florida. We're going to end the season in Florida. What a better way to go about this. I'm very excited for this schedule going throughout the course of the season. I don't know about you, Daniel, but it's looking pretty competitive out there for the remaining races. A lot of tracks that are really just pure driver tracks. As the pace truck comes off once again, Lucas Lyons, Levi McCarty still in control this time. Green flag waves. We're going to start lap 26 here, just shy of the halfway point for the season opener.
Lucas Lyons with a good jump there on the bottom with teammate Michael Kostick directly behind. They're going to get out in front and take control of this race. Levi McCarty now trying to pull up behind them with James Kaufman right behind him. Top four trucks have pulled away just a little bit, but from fifth place on back, they are side by side for position.
And pulling away from the field is not always beneficial. It does help, but side by side, 3 wide here in the 5th row. Cody Anderson up on the top line. Can't quite tell who that is. I believe that's the 59 of Michael John stuck in the middle there with Matt Knights down on the bottom line. Anderson takes it way up high to the wall, but no help follows. The 59 is going to get the advantage here over Matt Knights on the bottom. Will he drop back down to the bottom? He does. That opens the door for the 18 to sneak back in line. He does not lose any positions. Luckily, that could have been a bad outcome there for the 18. Going from the front of the field all the way to the back. Picks back up on the draft. That's another thing we haven't really talked about yet, Daniel, the drafting of these trucks. If you get up underneath that rear tailgate a little bit too long, you've got a high chance of overheating, popping the motor. Once we get to the back end of this race, with about 10 laps to go, we're going to see a lot more of the nose-to-tail action. Drivers will have to keep an eye on that temperature gauge. You want to make it to lap 60. by all means necessary. A massive lead for the top line right now. You have 5 cars clear of the bottom. It's Lucas Lyons, Michael Kostick, Levi McCarty, James Kaufman, Cody Anderson, all with the ability to drop down to the bottom. The bottom now being led by the 62 of Douglas Macedo. Moving up the track a little bit here through turns 1 and 2. An unconventional line. You'd much rather stick to that yellow line, almost putting the left side tires right on it as you work your way through the bottom of the corner. I think that's showing now as the drive off of turn 2, not nearly as fast as the top line, but they start to gather it back up. Side by side now with Anderson, nearly side by side with Kaufman. We're starting to get some distinct groups formed up here early on in this run, Daniel.
The top lane definitely has numbers right now. You can see they're formed up a little bit better as well. Just see the big gaps in between, everybody kind of staying committed. You'll see them offset just a little bit going through the turns, try to get some air to the front of that truck. You just mentioned it's easy to overheat, easy to blow the motor if you do so. But now that bottom groove's starting to tighten back up just a little bit here, especially between those top 2 trucks. Trying to gain a little bit of momentum back with Macedo leading that bottom lane. Up front, though, Michael Kostick, he is glued right to the rear tailgate of Lucas Lyons, trying to make sure that they can maintain that position. But Levi McCarty actually drops down now to the bottom to lead up that inside lane. He's going to try to utilize that to get up to the front of this field.
Lyons does now have sole possession of the most laps led of the race so far. At the last time I mentioned it, it was his teammate, Jonathan Cofield. Now Lyons up to 15 laps led here tonight. So if he can keep that 17 in control up to lap 35, nobody else will be able to catch up to him aside from his teammate. This will be very interesting if the 17 will be able to collect that one more bonus point. Is behind Kaufman and Anderson drop out of that draft to the bottom line. Kaufman's going to get the advantage with a great shove coming from the 18. Another one abandons the top just behind them. Jason Farrow in the 47. He's worked his way up 23 positions now from the start of this race. A great drive coming from the 47 team so far. See if they can hold that together till the end of it. Lyons and Kostick still in control of the top. Momentum out of turn number 4. I think if we can keep these cars on the bottom glued together as well as they can, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with here. As the top line starts to drive away, the 3-car tandem of Lyons, Kostick, and Cofield back up towards the front.
Bottom groove, they've been doing a nice job being able to keep bunched together, as caution is actually now out on the speedway. Looked like the 36 of George Jewell involved in an incident there. Saw him sideways. You can see the 37 of Seymour is around as well. Caution is back out on the speedway. Just past halfway here at Daytona. Take a look on the V-Speed instant replay to see what happened here. Oh, that's just another big accordion effect. Just drivers checking up. See the 14 of Chance Taylor is involved. See the 37 of Michael Seymour there. He was missing, well, not missing, but that left front tire was not properly attached after that initial hit that he had there. And if you've ever wondered what it's like to try to steer the Titanic, that's probably about what it's like when you're missing that tire like that.
I could only imagine so, as bad luck continues to fall on the 36 of George Jewell. See where we just get the bounce off the wall from Seymour once he finally gets off of the safer barrier, which we talked about earlier. That in itself is tough enough to do. That safer barrier just acts like it's a vacuum to these trucks, and it really just wants to hold it up against the wall as long as it possibly can. You don't want to do that by any means. And it's just going to collect a couple more cars here. So more drivers will have to utilize that fast repair. Seymour will be the one and only to pick up the meatball flag from that incident. Now, what'll be interesting is, will any of these drivers bring it down pit road to top off on fuel? And it looks like we're going to be led in by our race leader. from this point on, we should be able to make it to the checkered flag on a tank of fuel. And of course, if we end up having any more cautions on the event, then that will only extend the fuel cell capabilities. Lyons with a great stop into his box. He's locked up those rear tires. I thought he was going to slide right through it. And interestingly enough, we're going to have a couple drivers take tires this time. It's going to be a race off of pit road, though. Jonathan Cofield side by side with Michael Kostick. I'm not sure who got it. I believe it was the 58. Man, that one was very, very close off of pit road.
Cofield utilizing that pit box. It's a little bit further down pit lane to his advantage, because I believe that yellow line is not actually the scoring line. I believe it's the second white line when they leave pit lane, and that yellow line is just where the pit speed ends. So if we go back to where they cross this first white line, believe that is the iRacing timing line right there, and you can see Cofield was ahead of Michael Kostick when they hit that. So good stop there for the 58 bunch. And you mentioned a little bit surprising to see some of these drivers taking tires, but something I heard a few drivers saying in practice was that, especially if you're out in front, the truck has a tendency to get loose, especially having somebody tucked right up behind you, packing a little bit of air. We haven't really touched on our track temp as of yet in this race, but seems like the drivers may be fighting a little bit of grip issues here. See 118 degrees for the track temp. Bit of a toasty day here in southern Florida.
And going back to the Wednesday night series, the next gen series, it was very evident that with the new draft packages that iRacing has updated on these oval cars, it's very, very easy to get loose. So I don't blame them by any means for taking those tires. It could very much be beneficial, especially if we plan to stay out for the remaining laps of this race. It could be crucial if we have a green-white checkered on the night. You want as much grip as possible, trying to get these trucks back up to full song. We've already seen once issues on the restart. We're going to try to mitigate that as much as possible. But while we work our way back around the track here, we'll get going green this time by. Let's talk about Goat Talk Live. Goat Talk is more than just a show. It is a platform that's dedicated to supporting our nation's heroes. Through engaging conversation, Goat Talk spotlights the impactful work that Goat Locker Racing does to build community and camaraderie through their iRacing leagues. Each week, hanging out with the Goat Locker crew for incredible stories, sim racing action, some recaps on the week, and of course, a celebration of the spirit of service and community. Don't miss your chance to connect with the people driving change and supporting those who have served. Of course, hosted by Eddie Smith, the 87 out here on the field, the 07 of Patrick Drabick. We unfortunately don't have out here tonight. But those two, week after week, the show is fantastic. A lot of engagement with the chat. You can ask questions, get them answered. You can get in there and have a little fun, just riling each other up. It's a blast on those Thursday nights, so definitely check that one out. Of course, on the ATYL media page above the yellow line is just an awesome time. Definitely suggest checking that one out. A lot of information that you might not be able to catch up on, throughout the Discord or on the Facebook page or even on the YouTube page here with our races. That some stuff just gets missed. Go Talk Live takes care of everything and covers as many points as possible. Pace truck comes off once again. Jonathan Cofield, Michael Kostick on the front row. Green flag drops, and away goes the inside line. A much bigger jump than I would anticipate. The 58 of Jonathan Cofield out by 2 car lengths over Michael Kostick. He's going to work his way up in front of the 3 machine with no help from behind on the bottom. 58 in control.
And that may have been a little bit of a teammate restart there, to be honest, Logan, because the 3 and the 58 are in fact teammates. We've touched on it a few times tonight, so I'm wondering if that may have been orchestrated to allow them to get nose to tail and try to work together here.
There goes the 87 dropping down from the top lane. He had the momentum picked up on the draft from the 7 of Charles Abert, but the draft will stall here. But a great move coming from Eddie Smith there. Will be now in control of the bottom line. A hard shove from behind. Levi McCarty getting right up into the back bumper. And now we're formed up here on the bottom for the first time tonight. Eddie Smith sees the front row in his sights, ready to attack and pick up a bonus point for himself.
Yeah, Eddie Smith was able to utilize a little bit of a disorganized restart there to gain quite a few spots. Works his way up to that first truck now on the inside lane. Back behind this, you see Lucas Lyons trying to make his way 3 wide up through the middle. Wasn't quite there between the 98 and the 25, so he tucks back into line, but now he is going to look to the inside of the 25 yet again. But up at the front, Eddie Smith with a big shove from the 51 of Levi McCarty, trying to take the lead away from Jonathan Cofield. Cofield went down the side draft, almost contact between the two, but put the time ride up to P1 on the scoring pylon.
What a run coming from the 87. Finally gets a lap led on the night. Levi McCarty with a great push. He's going to dip out of line just a little bit, get some clean air on the nose, cool down that water temperature here. But right back to it as we work our way down the back stretch. That top line starting to come down, getting door to door for that side draft. It's getting tight here as we have made our way to the back half of the race. Taking another look at this move from the 87 machine. I believe he was around like the 7th or 8th position, jumped up to the top, nearly had the line blocked, had Cody Anderson to his inside. We were 3 wide for a moment. And there's the run, the draft. Holy cow, the 87 was moving, probably had about 3 miles an hour on the 3 drivers ahead of him. Dropped it down to the bottom, and it just seemed to pick up even more from there. But once you have about 2.5 car lengths of separation, the draft is obviously not there to continue that push. Finally, McCarty caught up, and here we are back on the live scene. Eddie Smith in control, Levi McCarty behind, Jonathan Cofield in control of the top line.
Eddie Smith channeling his inner Darrell Waltrip with those Tide colors on board here this evening on that last restart. Doing a nice job now trying to control both of those lanes, but here comes Cofield on the outside. Little bit of momentum, going to try to drop down and side draft just a little bit. Lucas Lyons, though, he's 3 wide by himself up on the top side, a little ways back, trying to get some momentum started for the uppermost lane. Not quite able to make it work. Nobody up there with him. He is going to be hung out to dry on that top side. And just trying to make it work, trying to get that track position back that he lost as a result of that 4-tire pit stop. But caution is out on the speedway. The 62 of Macedo is involved. I see Matt Knights is involved. There was one truck that started to go airborne. Didn't quite see who that was. I believe it was Charles Abert in the 7 that started to go airborne. But caution is out for an incident on the back straightaway. And that involved quite a few trucks here.
It was nearly the last third of the field. Taking it back here on the B-Speed Instant Replay, we'll find out exactly what happened. I'm not sure if it was due to a checkup from the 3 wide just up ahead. No, that was just a loose condition. The 64 nearly going over, Matt Knights. The 47, the 85. A lot of trucks involved, a lot of trucks down to the apron to avoid it. This is a not quite the big one, but I believe that is the biggest one that we've had so far tonight.
And it looked like the 64 of Knights maybe got a push right on corner exit, and it just turned him down into the 62 of Doug Macedo. To ride on board. No, actually, I take that back. That was not a push. That was just loose on corner exit. Again, something we just touched on with that last caution. These drivers are struggling for grip just a little bit out there this evening. And that was what set off that incident. Take a look on board here with Jake Ellingson. It looked like he got a piece of that as well. He goes down to the inside, just about had it cleared. That's actually a little bit more than a piece of that incident. He just about had it cleared, but innocent bystander there. Nothing he could have done to avoid that. Just no place to go for the 27.
That's inevitably what wraps up the 85 and the 47 into that one as well. So that's not what you really want to see at this point in the race by any means. But of course, we're getting to the last 20 laps here of our first race of the season. So you're going to see a lot of this action start to pick up from this point on. It's going to be very interesting to see the level of aggression increase as the laps decrease. Things will get heated here going into the last 20 laps of the race. But another fantastic thing to talk about here within Goat Locker, a new program that Goat Locker has put together, the GLR Pit Crew program. That is a monthly giving initiation designed to provide consistent, meaningful support in our fight against PTSD, mental health struggles, and suicide in the veteran and first responder community. When you join the Goat Locker Pit Crew program, you're not just making a donation, you are becoming a part of the Goat Locker team, the team that keeps this mission moving forward. And if you're interested in that, you can learn more or join today at goatlockerracing.org and click on the Pit Crew banner on that website. Check it out, see what it's all involved with. And I know they're doing a limited edition shirt that is available for the Pit Crew members. I know I certainly signed up for it. I'm waiting for my shirt. I'm very excited to sport that on some of these driver cams in the series I get to take part in. So keep an eye out for that. So we are working our way around through turn 1 and 2 here at Daytona. Or apologize, 3 and 4 at Daytona. Eddie Smith will be in control of this upcoming restart this time. See if he will elect for the top line or the bottom line. It seems to be in favor of the bottom line for our race leaders. But you never know when the strategy might change. It all comes down to who you want to have behind you on the restart for that initial push down into turn 1. Only time will tell.
And you know, Logan, we're getting down to the end of this race, inside of 20 laps to go. Just taking a look at our running order here. The top 14, actually make that the top 15 drivers in the field still have their fast repair, and 16 total drivers still have their fast repair in their back pocket. I bring that up to say, do you think we might be getting ready to see the aggression level ratchet up just a little bit here?
I would say way more than just a little bit. It's going to be a lot of bit. It's all or nothing from this point on. You never know when that caution might come out. And again, we do have the 2 green-white checkers available on the night. Now, Wednesday night, we ended up using both of those green-white checkers. The race did end up finishing under yellow flag conditions. So we'll see if the kind of the same hand is played here tonight, or if things are going to switch up. Of course, we always want to see, you know, that white flag come out and that final battle around that last 2.5 miles can always be the most exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one plays out. We'll see if we can take it from here at this green flag all the way to the checkered. That would be an outstanding outcome for how the first half of this race has gone. Of course, we've had now 5 cautions on the night. 6 official lead changes, with Eddie Smith taking the last lead change. But expect more to come. The drafting is going to get more intense. The passing opportunities are going to be forced rather than, you know, set aside or anybody starting to let anybody in. It will be a pass that is made, not given from this point on.
Definitely going to be earning every spot from here on out. The pushing is going to get more aggressive. The blocking is going to get more aggressive. Field comes into the extreme scoring restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. Eddie Smith, the control truck, the leader of the race. Levi McCarty to his outside as they head down into turns 1 and 2.
much better jump from the outside line that time. Levi McCarty, with no help, though, will fall back behind the 87 again. As that bottom line is very, very tight. McCarty now back to the front bumper of the truck behind him. You see a little bit of a zigzag going down the back stretch. Our top two on the outside line, working nearly all the way up to the wall. We're going to drop it back down, get a little bit closer as we work through 3 and 4. Cody Anderson has managed to work his way back up nearly into the top 5 as we take an onboard look with the 98 of Thaddeus Friel Jr. As he is tight on the back bumper of Levi McCarty across the front stretch. Eddie Smith still in control, but a large amount of momentum in favor of McCarty just after. He's going to get separated again, though, from his pushing partner, and that's the total opposite of what we're seeing on the bottom line. Eddie Smith and Jonathan Cofield still locked together, as we're going to have a couple more trucks. Look like Michael Kostick was getting right into that equation as well.
Yeah, that bottom lane is bunched up pretty tight there. So you see Ken Huber a little ways back there, wrecking in the back of the field. 67 is around. See Noah Hogard is in it there as well in the 158. Doug Macedo caught up in this one. Caution is out here on lap number 44. I believe that started right up around the 40 of Ken Huber. We saw him getting down there on the apron on the back straightaway. Possibly a bad push or just a mistimed move, something to that effect. But to take another quick look at this one on the V-Speed instant replay as they head down the back straightaway. So he gets down on the apron, and actually the wreck started right behind him with the 67 of Mauricio Marquez Ramos. Was the first driver going around, maybe a checkup, trying to give some room to the 40 there as he went down onto the apron. Let's take a look on board here, and yeah, that's definitely what it looks like from the onboard there. He checked up to try to give some room to Ken Huber there in the 40. And again, we've touched on it here a few times this evening, just having that accordion effect. And just not a lot you can do once that starts here. It's right on board with Macedo. He starts to check up, gets into the 67, and the wreck was on from there.
There's just not a whole lot that you can do. We're talking about something that happens within a split second, less than a second. You're going from 185 miles an hour down to cars that are sliding in front. And it's so tough to try to navigate that, and not knowing who's on your outside sometimes, who's down to the inside, what the other trucks around you are trying to do to avoid the same situation that you're facing. It is just a very, very hard thing to make that split-second decision, and it always be the right decision. No matter how many times you do make the right decision, it can still end up in a wreck where you're involved in it. So just having that kind of overhang over your head there, it could be one of those, we talked about mental fortitude earlier, and being able to keep your head straight in a situation like that, and after a situation like that, it can really change the entire outcome of your race at any given moment throughout the race. And of course, we're coming down to the last few laps, and we have drivers that still haven't used that fast repair. But we've got a lot more that have had to use their fast repair now. We're about a 50-50 split on the drivers who have used it and who haven't. Actually, it is a perfect 50-50 split on who has used it and who hasn't.
Absolutely correct. It is split right down the middle. And again, a lot of those drivers, like you mentioned, top 15 on track, still have that fast repair in their back pocket. Of course, you don't want to have to use it, but if you're going to use it, now might be the time. You've got it. You can be a little bit more aggressive. You're patient all race. And that's not to say you go out there with intent to use it by any stretch, but you just know that you can maybe make moves that are a little bit more daring than what you would normally make, because you do have that flexibility.
Single filed out here on lap 46. Our sixth caution of the event. Let's give another shout out to one of our fantastic sponsors here on Goat Locker within the community, InVets. InVets aids in transitioning to civilian life, focusing on job placement and finding the right community for veterans and their families to ensure their success and happiness. They are a veteran nonprofit located in Indiana with the goal of bringing veterans to that state to live and work. They're a big part of Goat Locker Racing here as a whole. We appreciate having InVets with us season after season. You know, there's been a couple of those Goat Talk Lives where Eddie and Patrick have been able to talk to some representatives from InVets and getting a little bit more insight on the side of what we don't see, the behind the scenes stuff, and learning about what they do. Very interesting to have a conversation with those gentlemen and ladies there that run that. But here we are, double filed back up, potentially for the last time tonight. However, as the back half of this race has unfolded, I'm going to say unlikely to see it for the last time tonight, especially once we get some of this 3 wide action going, Daniel.
Always a possibility here at the super speedways like Daytona that you get down to the end of these races and things just happen to get a little bit chaotic. But let's give a quick shout out though to that driver currently sitting in the P2 position, Thaddeus Friel Jr. First season over here in the Truck Series on Friday nights here, the SAVE22.bet Truck Series. And he is currently your biggest mover of the race, up 15 spots, running in that P2 position, really just kept the truck clean, minding his own business most of the evening here. And I mean, if you're going to come into a Premier Series and try to make a good impression, certainly a good way to do it and just making a name for himself here early on.
Well, we started with 29. We still have 29 rolling around on, 28 rolling around here on the track, it looks like. Our only retiree of the race, 158 of Noah Hoagie Hogard. Jake Ellingson, Michael Seymour had some damage. Both got it repaired. They're back out on the track. A couple laps down, but we still have time. Into the extreme scoring restart zone. And away we go to start lap 48 here at Daytona. We'll see what we can do as it's a big shuffle, a hard move down to the inside line from Thaddeus Friel Jr. Cut off the nose of Jonathan Cofield. Some contact was made. Here we go with Cody Anderson, Michael Kostick, and Lucas Lyons trying to form up on the top line. See if they can get any of that momentum going as Lucas Lyons drops down to the bottom. Opens up the door for James Coffin from behind. He's going to try to work his way up here. He's going to drop down to the bottom. Never mind, eating my words as soon as I say him. There's the 99 of Brandon Wallace. We saw him with a whole lot of damage earlier on after that restart. He's back up into the top 5. A hard move up to the top line. A big shove coming from Wallace.
Oh, they're wrecking. Cofield is around. It looks like the 98 of Thaddeus Friel Jr. is a victim of the broadcaster curse. Right after I was just hyping him up on that last caution, he is caught up in this one. It looked like the wreck may have actually started with him getting turned up near the front of this field, and we are back under caution here at Daytona. Just over 10 laps to go. Take a look on the V-Speed instant replay. See Friel there on the inside lane. Things were definitely starting to pick up at the front, and it looked like, I believe that is Lucas Lyons directly behind. Just not sure if it's kind of hard to tell from that angle if Lucas was actually making contact, pushing the 98 truck, or if it was maybe just a little aero pack on the back of him. Let's see if we can maybe get it onboard here. There's definitely a bump right there. And yeah, that is 100% contact on the bump draft, and that is probably the worst spot on the speedway to try to maintain a bump draft. Coming off of turn 4, the track flattens out a lot, the truck unloads off of that turn. You see it a lot in real life racing here as well, and iRacing proving to show the same thing here.
Got very lucky that didn't collect the entire field happening right there at the front of the pack, but the drivers behind did a fantastic job of recognizing the situation ahead and slowing down enough, making their the corrections in their course and able to get around it. We still haven't quite seen the big one by my definition, Daniel, but that one had the most potential, I think, on the night.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that, you know, for me to call it the big one, I'm saying you got to have double-digit vehicles involved. And we haven't quite gotten to that point. This one was certainly close. As you can see, a lot of drivers coming down pit road to avoid it. The 85 of Goshen there came down pit road to avoid that. Jason Farrow, that we were riding on board with, taking the evasive maneuver to head down pit lane and avoid that wreck. See race control clearing quite a few black flags here as a result of that as well, something that they will do if you're down there taking evasive maneuvers. But yeah, that one certainly could have collected quite a few more drivers, especially given that it was up there at the front of the field the way it was.
Well, we are inside 10 to go here for our season opener, the SAVE22.vet Truck Series on our Friday nights. Let's take a quick moment to send it to a commercial break, have another word from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. We'll be taking this coverage all the way to the checkered flag. Stick around, everybody. We'll be right back.
Superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you, day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your glove station.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
And back under green here at Daytona to start lap 52. Levi McCarty had control from the outside line. Got a massive run and immediately dropped down in front of Eddie Smith. It's been a 3-car runaway with Lucas Lyons right there with him. There's a lot of separation. We're starting to see where that damage is starting to come into play. Brandon Wallace, and they're spinning. I believe that's the 64 of Matt Knights. Gets spun around here in turn 3, and we're going to bring out the yellow one more time.
A bit of a discombobulated restart there up at the front, and I believe that may have had some impacts a little bit further back with just drivers checking up, having to try to avoid the accordion effect that we've seen a few times here this evening. But caution back out on the speedway. You can see the 62 of Macedo, the 64 of Matt Knights, both caught up in this incident. So going down the back straightaway, Knight starts to go to the inside, just kind of gets forced into the middle there. Goes around, and then contact between he and Macedo after Macedo was trying to take some evasive maneuvers. The 04 of Wesley Burke was caught up in that one as well there. Just a lot of, it just seems like it's a lot of nowhere to really go. He was caught in the middle, does come down just a little bit there, does Matt Knights. That was the 4 of Mike Browning to his inside.
That's just all due to that slight hesitation of committing to the bottom. We saw that Knights was completely clear, but elected to kind of hang out in that middle line, left the door open for Mike Browning. That slight shuffle back down the track, put the left rear into the right rear of Browning. Of course, as you're entering the corner, all of those wrecks will move back up the track. Go for Wesley Burke. Just didn't quite have anywhere to go. A lot of speed coming into the corner. Did a great job mitigating the damage, but again, just nowhere really to go. Just a slight spin, a little bit of a tap there to the right rear, I believe, but overall could have been way worse. Take another look at it from the roof cam here. Slowing it down to get that slow-mo look. Yeah, I think there's...
Oh, wow, maybe he did miss that.
If it was missed, there's enough room for a credit card to slide between those trucks, and that is about it.
And we're taking another look on the slow-mo replay here. See, a couple of trucks are fused together. The 36 of Jewel, the 37 of Michael Seymour down there. And I mean, the fact that you look at it from this angle, the fact that he didn't get more damage, Wesley Burke, that is, just from having him 3 or 4 wide there in front of him, he missed it.
He did miss it.
We got to give Bradley Cooper a shout out on that. He's in our ear saying he missed it. He didn't get caught up in that. You and I both thought for sure that he got something out of that. And I mean, that is just an A+ save to be able to avoid that incident.
I'm equally impressed that once Wesley Burke got into the grass, that it didn't come all the way down to the wall on the inside of the track. Like, this is a whole lot of movement, a whole lot of momentum, and just a lot of truck to try to slow down. You can see nearly at a perpendicular angle to the wall, and somehow gets it slowed up and straightened back out. That is an excellent recovery, just overall save for the 04. Hats off to you, Wesley Burke, for that one.
Yeah, that is absolutely amazing that he was able to save that. I'm at a loss for words on that one. There was one other driver that I saw that squeaked through that was at the back as a result of the previous caution. That was the 58 of Jonathan Cofield. He made a beeline up on the top lane there to be able to get around that wreck, one of our previous race leaders here, and he was able to get through that as well. But that was what I was looking at first, but that was, I mean, not taken away from what the 58 truck did there to avoid that, but man, watching that save for Wesley Burke, that makes, that just doesn't make Cofield's look all that impressive after I saw it.
Looking at the stat lines now, it does appear the 17 of Lucas Lyons will be locked in for the most laps led.
Man, that could have been really ugly there for the 58 watching that replay. He didn't have a whole lot of room up there on that top lane. That was it's kind of a Days of Thunder maneuver to be able to get around that one, but Yeah, just tried to watch that after watching the 04 save. I still got to give the save. That might be the save of the year to Wesley Burkle in that wreck.
I think I'm going to have to lean that direction with you. That was, again, just a well done job to recognize it. Got on the brakes nice and early. If you drive into that another 5 feet, you're wrapped up in it and collecting a bunch of damage. It looks like a black flag for the 64 of Matt Knights. Potentially a disqualification for the 64 team. I'm going to do some digging into that one, try to figure out if that is true or not. He's working his way back up to the back of the field. We'll see if he brings it down pit road and parks it this time by. Not too entirely sure what a disqualification would be here, or why it would be for Matt Knights. But we're now working into the last 5 laps.
Getting down to the end of this race. Hopefully we've seen the last caution and we can run this out to the end and determine who is going to be the winner here at Daytona. The pace truck is off. Eddie Smith, Levi McCarty, your front row. Lucas Lyons and Cody Anderson, your second row as they hit that extreme scoring restart zone. Green flag is in the air. McCarty gets a good jump, drops down in front of the 87 of Eddie Smith. So we've got 5 laps to go here at Daytona.
We did have an EOL handed out to the 4 of Mike Browning for that last caution. This action will only heat up from here. A shove from Eddie Smith. Lucas Lyons peeks out to the outside line. Michael Kostick follows. Cody Anderson right behind. No help on the bottom. Anderson drops back down to the bottom. Tyler Justice behind him with a couple car gap. It'll be 3 against 2 at the front of the field. Justice moves up to the top line. Abert on the bottom behind. The 25 of James Kaufman on the top behind. 4v4 at the front of the field. 5 to go, now 4 to go at the line. We'll see if we can take this one all the way to the checkered flag. A big gap here to group number 2. It's going to be Mark Whitley in the 77 starting to make his charge up here. A quiet night for the 77 team, getting a push from Ken Huber in the 40. What a time to strike. He's trying to find the gap. He drops down to the bottom. He's going to tuck in behind Abert. Takes a look to the middle, but the gap doesn't open up. Justice makes sure to close that door. The 77 of Whitley is not a driver that you want to allow into the contention for the lead. He will get up there and run away with it, and he is making all sorts of moves right now trying to get there. The second group starts to gather back up and close in on our top 8. Here we go, 3 to go at the line, this time by.
That second group has caught the first pack with a vengeance. They are all in one big pack now. I'm curious to see who's going to be the one that decides to stick this 3 wide to try to get up there and take control of this race. 3 to go as they head down the back straightaway. Put Lucas Lyons up to the top of the field. He is number 1 with his teammate, Michael Kostick, behind. Got another teammate in Tyler Justice directly behind as well. Definitely helps at this stage of the race to have your friends up there working with you. And it's the first time we've said Tyler Justice's name this evening. But look there in the number 4 position, the defending champion of this series, Mark Whitley, has made his way to the front of the field. Just 2 laps to go here at Daytona. Whitley now in contention to try to make a move for the win.
And he's got an opening down to the bottom, but the bottom line will get the run. That opening will close. I would have to assume the 77 will want to get down to the bottom and lead that line, but at the same time, it's starting to fall apart as Eddie Smith goes around. The 7 goes around. Cody Anderson down to the bottom. The green flag stays out, and now the yellow comes out. We're going to take it to our first green-white checkered on the night.
Wow, and just an unfortunate break for Eddie Smith there. He had been up front leading laps, did not hit anything, was able to keep it off the wall, so no damage, but loses all of that track position. Same with Charles Abert. Don't believe that either of those drivers hit anything as we go back and take a look on the V-Speed instant replay. See here, Eddie Smith trying to give a shove to Levi McCarty, and yeah, just 3 wide, gets together with the 18 of Anderson. The 87 of Eddie Smith almost up and over on the back straightaway, but able to save it, and probably helped a little bit by the fact that that entire bus stop area down there is now paved. If that was still grass like it used to be, he may have actually gone over or got into the inside wall.
I would say there is a 99% chance that that 87 would have gone end over end if that grass patch was still down on the inside of the track. Take an onboard look here with Cody Anderson. We saw him try to make that move to the inside. The opening was there, but not quite enough to fit a truck. Of course, you have to stay above that yellow line if you're going to make a pass. That's exactly where Cody Anderson put those left side tires. We saw the 87 of Smith try to close that door. Like McCarty was starting to float down towards the bottom as well, recognizing the 18 coming up from behind. It looked like Eddie was actually just trying to stay in the draft. And of course, ends up putting the left rear into the right front of the 18, vice versa. Be interesting to see who race control puts the blame on that one for. I would have to imagine it will be on Anderson for forcing that 3 wide incident coming up from behind. I haven't seen a black flag given out just yet for it. Now you have to wonder, a lot of these drivers are coming up on lap 27, 28 of their fuel run. I would imagine that they are good to go if we do end up using both green-white checkered attempts. Now, I know you did a little bit of research before the race, and you're saying anywhere around the 40-lap area. And the 27 of Jake Ellingson will pick up the lucky dog here. He will gain 1 lap of his 2 laps down. Then they'll be battling for position with Doug Macedo and Michael Seymour, trying to get back to that lucky dog spot if that caution does come out again. A lot of drivers that would typically be in contention for a race win at a super speedway have found themselves either in the middle or the back of the pack here in the late runnings.
Yeah, a little bit of a mix-up with the running, and actually with Ellingson, he will be the only driver 1 lap down. Doug Macedo currently showing 4 laps down, so if we don't get back to the white flag on this restart and we get another caution, Jake Ellingson will actually have made his way back to the lead lap. Possibility to pick up some more positions here towards the end of this race, but it certainly would be nice to see it get back to the white flag, let these drivers race it out and be able to settle it out on the track and get this race wrapped up here at Daytona. Got 3 teammates up there in those first 3 positions with Lyons, Kostick, and Tyler Justice. So you got to try to work together if you're those 3, but you've also got to be mindful of Mark Whitley lurking there in the number 4 position. He's only 11 laps in on this particular stint since his last stop. So got to think he's got 4 fresh tires. He's definitely good to go on fuel. He may have a little bit more grip here as well. Just, with what we've been touching on with how these trucks are handling now since the most recent aero updates.
A word from race control. The blame is on the 87 of Eddie Smith. However, finding his way at the back of the pack already after the incident. Does not receive any sort of penalty for the last caution here. He'll be running off this one in the 22nd position, 23rd position rather, now that Cody Anderson has regained his spot just ahead of the 87. I don't know, there's a couple drivers up here in the top 10. Any spot in the top 10 can really be considered the catbird seat on a green-white checkered at a super speedway. But is there any driver up here that you've got your eyes on to maybe take home a sneaky little win here at Daytona for the season opener?
See, after what happened with Thaddeus Friel Jr. earlier, I know what you're doing here, Logan. You're trying to set me up to put a broadcaster curse on somebody. See,
I am not.
We have worked together long enough that I'm wise to your games at this point. So, you know what? I'm just going to say I hope all the drivers have fun, and then that means the soapbox will probably be lit later on. So, I think at the risk of putting another broadcaster curse on, I'm just going to hold off on that pick.
I promise you, I was not trying to put a broadcaster's curse on anybody. I know your track record is not great. However, I was genuinely curious if there is anybody that you had a thought on, but I respect it. I'm not going to poke and prod.
Since you put me on the spot, tell you what, I'll give you one. Lucas Lyons 3 wide by himself at the front of the field. That's my guess as we get ready to go back green here.
Lyons would be the one to send it 3 wide as well. Our producer, Bradley Cooper, calling out for the 25 of James Kaufman. I am looking at that 36 of George Jewell. He has had such bad luck this entire race. Something has to fall his way. He's going to be rolling off in P7 on this restart as the truck comes off into the extreme scoring restart zone for hopefully the last time tonight. Green flag waves, will be 2 to go at the line. Who's it going to be for the season opener of the SAVE22.bet Truck Series? Side by side, down into turn 1. Who will be the one to make it 3 wide? It looks like we have maybe a small look here, a little bit further back in the pack. Looking to the inside. No help from behind, though. There it is. There's the move 3 wide from the 3rd row. Door banging with Tyler Justice up front.
Oh, 3 wide. Ken Huber goes around. Cofield goes around. Caution is out. We are going to have one more green-white checker, and that is indeed the big one here. These drivers are still trying to navigate their way through. See Jason Kristen around there. Almost stuck together. And wow, I think Eddie Smith, as our producer Bradley Cooper just pointed out, may have just gained about 15 spots on that restart as a result of the wreck happening in front of him. We've been waiting for the big one to happen, and it has happened here at Daytona. Ken Huber gets forced below the yellow line. Levi McCarty was down there with him as well. And, that's pretty much just when all hell breaks loose.
I just have to say the 36 of George Jewell finally made it through a wreck. He barely was ahead of this one. Take a look at the truck behind him, just getting obliterated from that move on the inside. He was just 1 spot ahead of it and able to sneak on through. I knew it finally had to go his way, but man, let's see if we can get an onboard with the 87 of Eddie Smith on this one.
This is going to be a good onboard here, folks. He is behind Charles Aber in the 7. And he's not laying back. He was trying to get his way through, and oh my God,
man.
Oh my God. I almost pulled an Eddie Smith right there from the Monday night broadcast. Man, he did a great job missing that wreck. That would have made Tom Cruise proud right there. That's all I can say.
That is right up there in contention with the save. All the avoidance that the 87 had to go for. You know, I'm just going to take advantage of it. Daniel, you might not want to say it, but I'm going to say it. Holy shit. What a drive from Eddie Smith on this one.
Wow. I mean, he's got a truck sideways in front of him. That was the 58 of Jonathan Cofield. He's still got another one sideways in front of him. And then, to me, out of all of that, one of the most impressive parts, you watch him go down onto the apron. When you make this move back up on it, you can see just how much the truck bottoms out when you hit that transition back onto the banking. And to be able to hang on to it from all of that, we've got 2 candidates for, well, you know what? I'm not going to say we've got 2 candidates for Save of the Year. We've got Save of the Year and Wreck Dodge of the Year. So we've got both of those covered here in the first race of the season already.
Just a incredible source of events here. Taking it back on the replay for the 04 and his avoidance. The Save of the Year. Let's get a vote out here in the chat. Which incident here played out the best? Or what would be your favorite of these two moves? The avoidance from the 04, the save from the 04, or the avoidance from the 87? We've got 41 people out here in the YouTube chat. I'm not sure what we have active in the Facebook video or Facebook live stream. But let's see some of these picks out here in the YouTube chat. A great drive from Wesley Burke, a great drive from Eddie Smith, and of course, Smith picking up multiple positions. He even got shunted there. He got a boost of speed as he was trying to work through that. So that's another factor to throw in.
Wow. Just the more you watch it, it's a good thing that Eddie's got Tide on board, because I think that he may need to send his clothes through a laundry cycle after that one. Yeah, that is impressive. And you know what? We didn't even talk about this part yet. I would just like to point out that all three of our picks that we made it through that and are in third, fourth, and fifth right now. Of course, my pick is at the back of that because it was my pick. But Kaufman, Jewell, and Lyons all made it through that without any damage or incident. So, yeah, I mean, RIP on this next restart for all three of them, but they made it through that.
I do have to say, I think that Lyons would be in the best position. He'll be starting on the inside line, but it is so tough to say. And now we have Mark Whitley, the reigning champion, up here on the front row for this restart. Of course, we're in control of the three. Michael Kostick electing for the top line. He's going to have George Jewell behind him, James Kaufman behind Whitley. This could go all sorts of different ways. Again, we have to get back around to that white flag to make this official. Then all bets are off. The yellow will not come out after the white flag. But if we have another incident, this could end up just like the Wednesday night series, a race ending under caution. I don't think any of these drivers out here tonight will be wanting that to happen. But the battle has been so fierce here in the last 20 laps that it's hard to say what way it's going to go.
Yeah,
and find out here.
One quick bit of housekeeping. We did get confirmation from race control. The 33 of Tyler Justice was assessed in EOL for that most recent incident. So he will be starting at the back as we get ready to go green here for one last restart to settle everything here at Daytona. With the Pied Piper from last season, Mark Whitley in the 77 in the lead as we get ready to go back green.
And it looks like we've got some favorites here picking out the Eddie Smith avoidance as the one to choose for that vote. Wesley Burke, a fantastic drive for you, but the popular vote says the otherwise. Pace truck comes off into the extreme scoring restart zone for the last time tonight. Green flag waves, and away we go for 2 more laps at Daytona. Kostick and Whitley battling it out on the front row. Who's going to get the push that matters most? Lucas Lyons right up underneath James Kaufman. Will they be able to close up the gap and help the 77? A wiggle from Kaufman. A gap behind Kostick as well. Neither front runner getting much help. George Jewell getting a big shove. A lot of swirliness there into the wall. Sideways.
Kaufman goes around.
Who's it going to be? Who has the lead when the yellow flag comes out? It looks like it's going to be the 3 of Michael Kostick taking home the win at Daytona.
Believe you are correct. It looks like Michael Kostick was ahead at the time of caution. We'll have to wait for him to come back around to the white flag. Let all the scoring settle out. They come to the white flag here, courtesy of Glove Station. Going to get the yellow as well, but I think you called that 100%. It looks like Michael Kostick is going to be your winner, putting the 3 in victory lane at Daytona as a result of that caution.
Chance Taylor coming out of virtually nowhere and picking up a podium from that as well. So we'll take our white flag under caution. Of course, presented by Glove Station. Quality gloves and protective gear to get you across the finish line. And there is all of the carnage unfolding. Lucas Lyons right in the middle of it. Gets the 25 across the nose. He gets a boot from behind and up into the wall goes to 17. Front runner virtually all night long. He falls out of the top 10. Unfortunately, it looks like George Jewell also wrapped up in it a little bit. He only loses a few spots, however. Take an onboard look here from Eddie Smith. See from his point of view. Car into the wall, gives the shove. Dodging more wrecks. Gets into the side of Lucas Lyons as he's spinning down the backstretch. Gets a little bit of a door tap from the inside. The 99 of Brandon Wallace comes out to the outside. Yeah, there's contact with Cofield, and he ends up sideways, almost into the inside wall. I think he does end up making contact with the inside wall. But reminiscent of Wednesday night, we do finish this one under caution. As the checkered flag waves, the 3 of Michael Kostick officially getting the win. Mark Whitley and Chance Taylor making up the last 2 spots on the podium. And a great recovery from the 67, Mauricio Marquez Ramos, taking home P4 in the season opener. A couple newcomers to the league, rather, up here in the top 5 with Michael Johns behind him.
Yeah, a couple of the guys that we haven't seen here before getting up there, making a name for themselves with a really solid finish. And, you know, I just have to point out, Logan, as our producer Bradley Cooper mentioned, all 3 of our picks caught up in that last caution. I think you could actually almost freeze frame them 3 wide on the back straightaway as that wreck was starting. So yeah, that at least Lucas won't really be mad at me because he just kind of expects me to run him under the bus at some point here.
Well, as the dust settles, Michael Kostick will work his way back around to the front stretch for his victory celebration. But we're going to send it to a quick commercial break. We'll get set up for our post-race interviews and have a word with Kostick, Whitley, and Taylor. Find out what their thoughts were on the race here tonight. Stick around. We'll be right back here for the closing statements of the SAVE22.vet Truck Series on Friday nights. You're watching Goat Locker Racing. We'll be right back.
Superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you, day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your glove station.
thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
JS Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Well, the dust has finally settled, and we have completed the season opener of the SAVE22.bet Truck Series, and in outstanding fashion nonetheless. Of course, we saw it finish under yellow flag conditions. Not the most ideal, but it does happen at super speedways. Let's run through our race results. 11 cautions on the night with 13 official lead changes. Michael Kostick takes home the win, moving 6 positions up the field from 7th to 1st. Mark Whitley started P1, loses 1 spot, but still on the podium to start the season. He's looking to continue the streak that he had from last year, maybe trying to stay in contention for another championship. Chance Taylor again comes from nowhere and ends up on the 3rd step of the podium in the 14 machine. And he had a lot of calamity that he was involved in. We'll get to talking to all 3 of those drivers here momentarily. Mauricio Marquez Ramos in the 67 rookie appearance on the night takes home P4, with Michael Johns in the 59, another rookie for the year, taking home the top 5 spot. Eddie Smith, with gaining 15 positions through 1 caution, gains a couple more through the next and takes home P6 on the night, with George Jewell, my pick to potentially win this race, falls out of the top 3, but still in the top 10, taking home 7th. Jason Farrow in the 47 gets 8th, with Brandon Wallace in the 99 finishing out in 9th. Jacob Ellingson, coming back from 4 laps down, takes home a top 10.
Finishing just outside the top 10 is going to be Thaddeus Friel Jr. in the 11th position. Claire Sisk comes home in 12th. Lucas Lyons in 13th, Tyler Justice in 14th. Levi McCarty had a strong run this evening overall, up front for a good portion of the race, but he's going to finish in the 15th position. Jason Kristen in 16th. Mike Browning comes home in 17th. James Kaufman, believe that was Bradley. I think that was Bradley's pick there on that last restart, was Kaufman. He comes home in the 18th position. Charles Abert in 19th, and Wesley Burke will finish in 20th.
In 21st, it is the 58 of Jonathan Cofield, followed up by the 40 of Ken Huber, taking home P22. Cody Anderson in the 18, wrapped up in the last big one here, takes home 23rd, with James Goshen in the 85 coming home in 24th. 37 of Michael Seymour, he takes home 26th on the night. Apologize, it looks like I have a discrepancy in my timing and scoring. We'll go based off of what's on the screen. James Goshen in 24th, Matt Knights in 25th, Michael Seymour in 26th, Douglas Macedo in 27th, Samuel Yosef in 28th, and I believe our one and only. No, it looks like Josef also retired early. So Josef and Hogard both retiring early from the competition, rounding out our 29 truck field. Well, it's time to get a word with our podium finishers, and we're going to start out with our race winner. That's going to be the three of Michael Kostick joining us up here in the V-Speed booth. Michael, you've got Daniel and Logan up here. You have a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, a fantastic run at the end of the race for you. A lot of issues out here on the track. We saw you get wrapped up a couple times on the night, but a great recovery puts you back up at the front of the field. One of just a handful of drivers to not have to use your faster pair. Now, tell me a little bit about how this race went. You found yourself in the middle of the pack. You found yourself mostly at the front of the pack, but of course, at the very end, the most important spot as that final yellow flag wave.
Yeah, it's just typical super speedway, just waiting for the wreck to happen, expecting to get in it, and just happy when you miss it. So I was just kind of spending the night trying to find my teammates, get some good pushes, give some good pushes, and stay out of trouble.
Well, I know how much you love super speedway races. You always tell me that whenever, we're in chat together racing. So I'm sure you got to be excited to get a win here at your favorite racetrack on iRacing. But, you mentioned working with teammates. When we got that final restart, you didn't really have a teammate directly in front of or behind you to be able to work with. So at that point, is it just kind of every man for himself trying to get up there and get that lead, or were you still trying to find a way to link up with one of your teammates?
No, at that point, I was just kind of pick the outside, try to hold the side draft and get position for. I was hoping the caution came out that fast, so I got lucky there. But yeah, just trying to hold the inside line back and keep position up front.
Well, taking home the first win of the season means that you are the first driver locked into the playoffs. Congratulations on your race win here, Michael Kostick. Who do you have to say thanks to for your success at Daytona?
Thank you guys, VSP, for doing the broadcast. Lincoln Tech, SAVE22, Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs, InVets, Above the Yellow Line, all my teammates at Bandits, and all the admins and everybody who works hard for Goat Locker to put this series on.
Well, congratulations once again. We'll see you when we take it from the East Coast to the West Coast out to Auto Club Speedway next week.
All right, man, thanks.
Your race winner, Michael Kostick, in that number 3 machine. The timing couldn't have been better for him, just like he said. Able to keep ahead of our P2 finisher. That's going to be Mark Whitley joining us up here in the booth, our reigning champion from last season. Just one spot short of taking home the first win this season. Mark Whitley, you've got Daniel and Logan here in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, a very quiet night for you, something that we typically don't see coming out of the 77 machine. We didn't really mention your name a whole lot until about the final 10 to 15 laps. What was going on with you in that new paint scheme truck?
Yeah, it's Daytona, so you got to just stay out of trouble. It's 60 laps. You got to make sure you're there on lap 60, or I guess we had a couple green lap checkers, so it's a little bit later, but you got to make it through. I got involved in a couple incidents earlier that just kind of made me play it more conservative. I got some front end damage. I was able to get it fixed. I got some rear end damage from a different thing. I didn't have to use my fast repair. So, and then once it got to be getting close to go time, I just started, making my way forward and made a couple of lucky moves, and they wrecked behind me like 3 times. And I was telling Brantley, I'm like, I don't like that they're wrecking all around me. And, that last restart there, I got a really good jump. And I was clear of them going into 1 and through almost getting into turn 2. And I was sitting there like praying, like, all right, y'all wreck back there now while I was still ahead. Cause I knew if we got off of 2, that outside line was just, you couldn't do anything about it. Cause you get wound up there and you just, they'd run off into the sunset. So I was really hoping they were going to wreck before we got to the back straightaway, but they wrecked about half a mile too late. And, second place is good. Going into like a Daytona or Talladega, I'm just hoping for a top 10 at best. Like, I'm not expecting a win. I'm not expecting anything crazy. It's just I just want to not wreck and have a decent finish. So this starts off the season pretty good. It's way better than, I'm usually, expecting either to get wrecked or, 10th, 15th or something. So second place, I'll take it every time I come to one of these tracks. So nothing too, not disappointed at all.
Yeah, definitely a strong run for you. You know, we talked throughout the evening on the broadcast about just drivers trying to work with teammates. And I know you don't really have a formal teammate in this series. So what's it like trying to work up through the field knowing you're kind of on your own island as far as that goes?
In some ways, it's a hindrance because you don't really have anybody that's going to like naturally want to work with you. So that can work against you. But then other times, I can make moves. You know, I can fend for myself. You know, I don't have to worry about trying to get clear for a teammate. I don't have to worry about staying in a lane long enough for a teammate to get clear, or having to push someone. So it's like it's a catch-22. Having teammates in these recommends always it's always, I don't say easier, but it's always better to have teammates. But then in certain situations when especially when you're trying to come from the back like that, it's almost easier to be by yourself because you can just slice and dice inside the two couple lanes without having to worry about what trying to stay hooked up. So uh, it's a lot less to think about. It's a lot more simple. It's just go forward, do whatever you can to go forward. It's harder, but it's sometimes it's more fun that way.
And on top of everything, too, being the reigning champion always kind of puts a small target on your back and really hinders the desire for other drivers to want to work with you because they want to best the champion. So congratulations to you being able to manipulate through the field as well as you did in those closing laps coming from I don't even know where you were for a good portion of this race now that I'm thinking about it. Like I said, you had a very, very quiet night, which is uncharacteristic for you. But overall, a podium finish nonetheless is a great outcome. Mark Whitley, congratulations on P2. Any shout outs that you'd like to give?
Yeah, big shout out to all the league sponsors here. Jam Printing and Promotion, SAVE22, you guys at V-Speed, Alexander PCs, Cruising Classics, GTR Simulators, all the league sponsors that help this league, put on a show like we do. I'm grateful to be here. It's been a fun time. My short time here, I feel like I've only been here for a little while, but then it also feels like I've been here forever. So it's always great to be out here. All my personal sponsors, Brantley over Harpoon Design, like you said, this beautiful new Jawa.gg Harpoon Design Racing Tundra. It looks amazing. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like got some like sparkles and like metallic. It looks freaking cool. So check him out at harpoondesign.com if you want to get a paint scheme made that looks just as good. My other sponsor, Jawa.gg. I know there's a lot of craziness going on with the PC marketplace and PC industry right now, but they're still the #1 online gaming marketplace. You need a new rig, you need an upgrade, they got you covered over there. Check them out at Jawa.gg. And then everybody at Harpoon that tunes into these broadcasted races, Steve, Daryl, Vector, I appreciate all of them. And then I guess, like I said, one more shout out to you guys for putting on a broadcast. Should be fun to go back and see what everybody else in the race got up to. Because, like I said, I was kind of taking it easy, trying to stay anonymous. So it should be interesting to go back and see how the rest of the race played out for everybody else.
Well, again, congratulations, P2. Nothing to scoff at here, Mark Whitley. We will catch up with you next week in California.
Sounds good, guys. Take it easy.
And only one more driver to go, Daniel. We've got our P3 finisher and our 50-50 race winner not too long ago, Chance Taylor, joining us up here in the booth. Chance, it's Daniel and Logan. Do you have a copy?
I do.
Well, man, that was quite the race that you had. We saw you all over the field, but eventually finding your way back up here to a podium, almost reminiscent of the 50-50 race that we saw not too long ago, just a couple spots behind where you finished there. Tell me a little bit about how your race unfolded and how well did the wreck avoidance go in your favor tonight?
Well, there was a lot of wreck avoidance. I believe I was involved with every caution. I mean, except for the last one, and then I barely made it past that one. So I'm just thankful to get through this race and get this one behind our belt.
Well, definitely a good recovery drive for you, getting back up there into the #3 position. When we brought you up mid-race, you talked about just trying to be conservative, and then once you get down into 10, 15 laps to go, start getting aggressive. What was your mindset with all those different cautions that we had kind of breaking things up? Like, how are you able to pick and choose when you make those moves without having that long green flag run at the end?
Well, I didn't know when to do it because I was afraid every lap somebody was going to wreck. So I just waited as long as I thought I possibly could to be able to get to the front, and I squeezed by.
And squeeze by you did, right up here to a podium finish to kick off the season in the SAVE22.vet Truck Series. Congratulations on that P3 finish. Chance Taylor, is there anybody that you would like to say thanks to or shout out?
Yeah, I'd like to thank iRacing, MK Fire Design, Sim Motion, Harpoon Designs, Zat Graphics, and SAVE22.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, and we will catch up with you next week at Auto Club.
I appreciate it, guys.
Well, that's going to do it for tonight's event here, Daniel. We had a lot of carnage, a lot of calamity, and a lot of fantastic driving from some of these drivers with the wreck avoidance that we saw. Again, Eddie Smith taking home that popular vote there on the best wreck avoidance of the night. What were your thoughts on tonight's event?
Yeah, definitely a lot of chaos as we've come to expect from super speedway racing. And in pretty much any series, it can always get a little bit hectic. But you said it. I mean, we saw so many good saves, a lot of good wreck avoidance in the field. A couple of good comeback stories there with drivers that got caught up in incidents, able to make their way back into the top 5. But next week is one that I'm really looking forward to. Auto Club, one of my favorite tracks on all of iRacing. I'm really sad that this track has met an untimely end at going to the bulldozer in real life, but at least we still have the digital version, and we'll get to see it next week right here on V-Speed.
And notoriously puts on a fantastic show here on the channel. I am very much as well looking forward to the race next week. It's going to be a good one. So if you liked the action that you saw tonight, drop a like and subscribe on the video, and you'll never miss another race. For Patrick Drabick, Jamie Barkas, and everybody behind the scenes at Goat Locker, for everybody behind the scenes at V-Speed, Adam Baker, Bradley Cooper, Morgan Cook, of course, Eddie Smith, and, another shout out for Bradley for being our producer on the afternoon with those cameras provided by Dougie Beard, my colleague in the booth for the season, Daniel Cunningham. My name is Logan Threlkeld. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we will see you next week at Auto Club.